Welcome to Filmability. My name is Joel Fisher and I'm the author of Filmability, A History of Disability in Cinema, which you can find on Amazon and Kindle and paperback. Welcome if this is your first time listening, and welcome back if you've been listening to the show so far. Remember, you can find Filmability wherever you get your podcasts, so give me a follow, like, share and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and it would mean a lot to me. This week I'm going to be talking about Out of My Mind, a relatively recent film that was made for Disney Plus about a preteen, non-verbal girl with cerebral palsy who finds a way to speak her mind and make a difference in her life. The film is directed by Anne Basili and the screenplay is written by Daniel Stevenson, which is based on the novel of the same name by Sharon M. Draper. As usual, if you want to find Out of My Mind to watch, I suggest you do so now before continuing the podcast, because I'm going to be spoiling everything. And as I mentioned earlier, you can find it exclusively on Disney Plus. So without further ado, let's get on with the film. Okay, so the film starts with Melody introducing herself as if she's in a charity ad, but she's only joking, and she's played by Phoebe Ray-Taylor. She just wants people to listen. She says it's 2002, and she says she doesn't have a voice, so she can sound like whoever she wants. And as she loves Jennifer Aniston, that is exactly what she sounds like. And indeed, the narration is done by Jennifer Aniston, because Melody is non-verbal, but she has cerebral palsy. She says she wants a dog, but her parents say they're too much work, and so she likes to do with a goldfish, which she treats like a dog. Her dad then comes in. He's played by Luke Kirby, and before he leaves the room he turns off the TV, and she complains to herself because nobody asked her if she was still watching TV. She says she likes making lists too, and lists off some things that she doesn't like. Her parents leave the house and leave her watching Friends on TV. She notices her goldfish, though, has got out of its tank, and she starts to panic. Trying to save it despite it being on the floor, she grabs hold of the tank and pulls it onto the floor, making a mess. Her dad comes in, and because she can't explain what's going on, he blames her for making a mess. In the car, Melody's dad apologises, and a sweet but patronising and well-meaning old lady comes along to say she has a present for Melody. This is Mrs. V, and she's played by Judith Light. Her dad says they're late for school though, and they leave. The narration says that this is her school, and the camera pans from a big school building to a smaller building, because that's where all the kids go for special needs. She says she's been there since kindergarten, and had the same teachers for 7 years, like Lisa Simpson. She's shown that with headphones on, and she's listening to a book, and the other helpers are interacting with her. It sort of feels like people are doing things around her and they're not really interacting with her properly. She's looking out the window with her headphones on, and she says she wants a lot of things like other girls have got. She wants better clothes, bigger boobs and makeup. She's about 12, so this is the time where she's starting to realise that there are things out there that perhaps she can't get, but that she wants. Somebody comes to see her, and she starts to ask about things that Melody likes. This is Dr. Catherine Ray, and she's played by Courtney Taylor. In the staff room, they're talking about Melody, and the principal says that she's exceeding expectations. And her father's there as well, and he says that they should be doing better for her if she's doing so well. He says that she loves to learn, and he can see it in her eyes, and the principal makes an excuse that they're just going to have to stick to curriculum. This is Principal Antonucci, and she's played by Catherine McNally. They tell him about Dr. Ray and how she's there to observe, and then Melody's mum comes in, and she's played by Rosemary DeWitt, and she asks them how Melody's doing. At home it's Halloween, and Melody's dad is dressed as Einstein, and he answers the door expecting trick-or-treaters, but instead he finds Dr. Ray. She says she would like to take Melody out of special education for a little while every week, because she can see something in Melody that perhaps is more advanced than the other kids there. Melody's mum says that she isn't sure because of how hard they've had to work to get to her to where she is now. And Dr. Ray looks a bit disappointed. It's like she's had this kind of reaction before. Her parents take Melody out of bed and she's dressed up as an astronaut. She says that Halloween's the best time of the year because people stare at her, but for the right reasons. And then we see her being offered some sweets by an old lady, her neighbour, who pats her on the head. In Melody's narration, she says that this woman does this every year, and one year she's going to bite her. Melody starts talking about the things that she loves, including family and outer space, and we see her going down the street with a chair, and she's smiling. She's having a good time. She's feeling like a kid. At home, Mrs. V is taking out clothes from a little box. She goes to the kitchen and helps herself do some cookies and finds the papers that are all about taking Melody out of special needs, and she says it's a great idea. She talks to Melanie, telling her that she has to be herself and let people know what she wants. So, despite first impressions, maybe Mrs. V can see Melody for who she is. Melody is lying on bed and making a list of things that she hates. Her dad comes in and tries to get her out of bed, but Melody objects. He lies next to her and he pretends to go to sleep. At breakfast, her parents are talking about the problems that she can face when she's not in a special needs school. And the symbols keep appearing of what Melody really wants to say that are on her pad that she uses to communicate. Her mother leaves and her dad tells Melody that he wants her to go to the regular school. And Melody is very excited. Dad's on her side and he knows what she's capable of. And there's a montage of them doing all different things and at school and with other disabled kids and learning, things like that. In the other class though, there's an enthusiastic teacher talking about history, and he's asking the class about why they learn about history, and Melody arrives. The teacher's name is Mr. Dimming and he's played by Michael Chernus. Some of the kids look like they're not sure about her, and Mr. Dimming offers her an empty desk at the back, and Melody goes there. Mr. Dimming says that there's a test, and he asks a question. One of the kids gets it wrong, but Melody puts her hand up. And because she can't say the answer, she points to a leaf on the wall, which is in relation to the answer to the question, and Dr. K understands what she's trying to say, and gives the answer. Another kid says that she didn't say anything. She thinks that just because Melody can't speak doesn't mean that she's not able to think. So Mr. Dimming asks Melody where the person came from that she pointed out. And she uses her pad to answer the question, but it's taking a long time because she's spelling out the word. And the kids are getting a bit restless, and so the teacher answers the question for her. It's as frustrating for Melody, I'm sure. After class, Mr. Dimming looks frustrated, and he says he was assured it wasn't going to be a disruption having Melody in the class, and Dr. K assures him that it wouldn't be. A girl comes up to Melody though, and she asks if she's going to be there long, and Melody nods. This girl is Rose, and she's played by Maria Nash. Melody's in the bath and her mum's playing with her, and Melody says that she would like to take a bath by herself, but her mum loves the time that they had together, so she allows it. She's throwing her a bone. Her mum is picking out the clothes in the next scene as Melody's laying on the bed, and Melody really wants to wear tights, but her mum says that they're impractical because of changing and going to the bathroom and things like that. Melody says in her narration that she just wants mum to pick something good. Rose then arrives at Melody's house. Melody wants to turn off the TV, but accidentally turns up the volume by mistake before turning it off. Awkward moment, really. Her parents go and get ready to go out while Rose and Melody have another awkward moment. They don't really know what to say to each other. At the museum, Rose says her mum said that just because somebody's different doesn't mean they shouldn't be treated like they're normal. Melody's mum questions what normal means, but her dad stops her because, she's trying to make friends and everything. And it's gonna go down there. And this is where I think I should pick up on what Melody's mum was going to say, because although there are probably a lot of people who knew the kind of thing that she was going to say, there may have been some people who hadn't even considered that the word normal might be such a loaded word. From my perspective, normal is relative, and depending on how you use it. Often disabled people are casually referred to as not being normal because they consider that being non-disabled is normal, because there are more non-disabled people than disabled people in the world. However, being referred to as not normal, or even abnormal, can be dehumanising, and yet it is so often and said so casually by so many people. For example, when I was at school, they didn't refer to it as a normal school because I was one of the only maybe one or two people that were there who were disabled. They called it a mainstream school, which in my mind is just about as bad. It was entirely in reference to my disability, and because there were more non-disabled students there, then it was considered mainstream. I like to think, though, that I went to a mainstream school in the way that many disabled kids went to their own cool indie schools. What is normal anyway? If somebody sees somebody with a physical difference, then it may not seem normal to them. However, if somebody only ever saw disabled people in their lives, and then they suddenly saw a non-disabled person, then they may not consider that person to be normal either. Just because you see somebody who perhaps doesn't fit the way that you imagine everybody else on earth to be like, that doesn't make them abnormal, or even strange if you're going to go that far. It just means that you're not aware of somebody like that. Nobody's truly normal though. We're all individuals, and that's what makes us so great. Some of us are tall, short, big or skinny. Some of us wear glasses, some of us have big noses or big ears. All of that doesn't matter because we are a world of endless combinations of diversity. If everybody acted and looked the same way, then that wouldn't be normal. It would just be boring. They come outside and Rose is playing with her friends. Her dad sees that she's sort of ignoring Melody, although she perhaps doesn't mean to, but he comes up to her and reminds her that Melody can't go everywhere that she can. And you can see Melody's face, she's feeling like somebody's speaking for her. Inside they're watching a film with Stephen Hawking. Melody's dad leans in and talks to her and saying that he's kind of like her, but Melody disagrees. And I mean, I know he doesn't mean because he uses a wheelchair and he can't speak, means that it's like Melody, but in this situation, he's famously had a device that he can use to talk, and that's the kind of thing that Melody wants. At home, her parents are talking about a device that Melody could use to let her speak. And it's similar to what Stephen Hawking said, as I mentioned. Her dad says it's expensive though, but they seem determined to get one. At an office, Melody's mum is talking to a woman, and she wants to talk to somebody in charge. She's getting a bit of a brush off, but Melody's mum understands this, and she starts to make a fuss of herself, and says that she's going to wait, sitting down on a chair across the room, and taking out some knitting. She calls Melody's dad later on and says that she's talked to somebody, but she says that they need to know that Melody has something to say before they give her the advice. At a meeting, Melody is sitting opposite a woman who's patronising her. She's clearly got this idea into her head that because Melody can't speak and she's only 12, that she must be very slow, and it's just the kind of thing that happens, unfortunately. The woman takes out a series of cards with fruit on them and asks Melody which one is different. It's a vague question. I think there's a balloon, there's a tomato, there's a strawberry, there's a cherry, there's a banana. And although most of them are red, the banana is yellow, so Melody goes for that one, thinking that that's the answer that she wants her to give. Although it was the balloon because all the other ones are edible. But I mean, It's such a vague question. Nobody would have got that right. She goes outside while her parents are talking to the woman, and she says that Melody didn't pass the assessment. And outside you can see Melody getting really upset and really getting angry. And I'm not surprised. I mean, if you want to see a comparison, I would say the restaurant scene in My Left Foot. It's very similar. Melody and her dad then go to see Dr. K, and she's happy to see her, and they go through some papers which show Melody is competent and intelligent. And then Dr. K goes and makes some calls, because she really thinks that Melody would benefit from having a device. At home, Melody is with her mum and Mrs. V. They have the device in a box, and as they unpack it, her mum starts reading the instructions. But Melody just wants to get on with it and starts using it, figuring that she'll learn what it does as she goes along. Melody's dad comes home, and Melody's waiting for him. She's got the device on her chair now, and she uses it to talk to him and ask him how his day was. And he tears up with that. It's the first time he's heard his daughter talk, and this is just going to be the start. And then she's quickly joined by Melody's little sister and her mum. In the next scene, Melody is trying to apply some lipstick, but she's looking a bit trepidatious about it. It's a bit like, why should I be putting this on? It's a small moment, but you entirely get what she's doing just by the expression on her face. At school, Mr. Dimming is asking the same question he did before, and Melody answers the question. She uses her device, though, and this surprises Mr. Dimming, because he didn't get an answer before, and it's just something he likes to do to try and get the kids thinking, maybe? I don't know. But then he realises that Melody is going to speak, and that she may be more intelligent than he realised, and he sort of puts her down, tells her that she should wait to be asked to speak. He then tells the class about a quiz show that's going to be on television, and Melody looks really excited and interested in it. This is going to be the big part of the plot. Melody's going through the hall, and she's talking about the kids who talk to her now. It feels like her device has made her able to talk to people, so they're more likely to talk to her. She goes up to Rose and starts using her device to talk to her and her friends, but she makes a mistake about something that she wanted to say, and the girls laugh at her. Dr. K then comes up to Melody and asks her how she's feeling, and she goes, "I'm feeling fine, thanks for asking." And then Dr. K realises that on Melody's screen she's got a series of stock answers as to how she's feeling, and she says that she thinks that Melody can do better than that. At home, Melody is with her dad, and her mum is working, and she hears them doing something in the other room, so she joins them. Her dad uses the device to say that Melody has the best dad in the world, and her mum starts to have a look at what he can do as well. It's a fun little scene between them, that they're growing closer as a family. A montage of Melody at school follows. Then Melody's outside, and she sees Rose, and she compliments her on her shoes. She's trying to make conversation, but Rose wants to go inside. And it feels like this is the age where peer pressure comes in, and from first-hand experience, I can say that the people that I may have talked to in the first school didn't want to talk to me in middle school, and it's something I just had to deal with. I made other friends while I was there, but the change is noticeable, and you don't really understand it at that age. Melody then says that she can help Rose to study, and she starts asking some pre-prepared questions which are on her device. In the next scene, at Rose's house, her mum answers the door, and she's played by Lisa Michelle Cornelius. She seems a bit nervous and awkward around Melody, despite what Rose said that her mum said, and she starts laying down cardboard on the carpet as Melody moves forward. It seems like Rose's mum didn't want Melody making tracks in the carpet. And although, I have a man in a wheelchair and I probably haven't been to many people's houses, but I don't think I've ever come across anything that rude before. But if you have, then let me know. We could make a compilation of these ridiculous stories. Melody then asks Rose questions on her device. Rose says she doesn't know the answers though. And then Melody mentions a boy called Connor. And Rose realises that's because Melody likes him. But Melody also says that she knows that she's never going to kiss anyone. But Rose reassures her that she can't be entirely sure about that. Melody starts explaining about her disability, and Rose asks if it hurts. Melody says that other people stare at her. It feels like Melody's opening up emotionally to a friend. But then she goes back to asking more questions about the quiz. And it's sort of something that she wants to talk about, but she's not really that comfortable just yet. Melody arrives at her class, and the door is closed, and she bangs into it. Mr. Dimming gets somebody else to open the door, and Melody comes in and says that she's interested in the quiz. And another girl says that she can't take part because she's from the special school. To which Rose replies that this girl might be afraid that Melody is smarter than her. It seems very much that Mr. Dimming has closed the door because he didn't even consider that Melody would want to be interested. And so he made it inaccessible so that Melody couldn't get in. When you have a disabled person in your class, friend group, or even among the people you work with, then there are many things that you can do to assure that they don't feel left out. For example, if you're going anywhere and want to invite a wheelchair user along, then it may be best to find out whether that place is accessible, and even better if they have an accessible toilet. Because just assuming that somewhere will be absolutely fine for a wheelchair user is frankly quite naive. If an autistic person is invited somewhere, then they themselves may have to consider whether the place they're going to would have a lot of people around them and what the sensory issues may be that they might face. Inviting somebody autistic somewhere would really help with that consideration in mind, and they are sure to be things that everybody could enjoy. The same goes with all disabilities. The best thing you can do is to invite a disabled person you know, and if the issues do come up surrounding a disability, then you can know for next time, and a happy medium can be found. The worst thing you can do though, as Mr. Dimming did, was not to invite the disabled person in the room, and not even consider whether they'd want to take part. Mr. Dimming then kneels down to Melody, and asks if she understands that this is a competition, and not just a club. And she nods. It's something that happens all the time, unfortunately, because you're disabled, if you use a wheelchair, if you're non-verbal, then people will just assume that you're not clever and you don't understand what's going on in the world around you. But Melody then goes to her desk and they continue the class. Outside, Rose is talking to her friend, and Melody overhears Rose saying that Melody suffers from cerebral palsy. They're talking about the quiz, and Melody answers the question that they're talking about, and Rose reassures Melody that she thinks it's cool that she's taking part in the quiz. But Melody's been listening, and she reassures Rose that she's not suffering. Rose doesn't understand at first, but she explains that the word suffering is not applicable to a disabled person because they don't suffer. The only suffering is other people and inaccessibility and lack of thought, which is a running theme throughout the film. But then Rose's mum arrives, and you can hear her beeping in a car horn, and so Rose has to go. But before she goes, Rose asks Melody if she wants to go to the mall. At the mall, Melody and Rose are waiting in line. And this is the unusual thing. I've not really seen this kind of thing before. I mean, these days, I'm not really sure little girls go to the mall anymore. There aren't really large shopping centres, and there are certainly not places that little girls want to go anymore. I don't think so anyway. I'm not a 12-year-old girl. I don't know. Maybe. Let me know. Like I said, the film is set around the early 2000s, so maybe it's very much of the time. Anyway, Melody and Rose are waiting in line at the mall, and Melody says that she has an idea. And they boldly go to the front of the line, and Rose explains that Melody is her sister, and she doesn't go out of the hospital often, and they make a fuss and they go inside. I mean, playing the wheelchair card early on. It was quite good. There are some advantages. I did the thing once where I didn't realise that there was a big queue. I was at cinema, and so I just went up, got my sweets, and went off, and then looked back and there was a huge line behind me. It's just hilarious that absolutely nobody said anything to me. But anyway, then inside they're going around and trying on clothes, and you cut to outside. Melody's dad is with Melody's little sister, and they're waiting for them while they're inside having a good time. He's a good dad. He'll just let Melody do what she wants, but he'll be there in case she needs him. At school, Mr. Dimming makes an announcement over the speaker, saying that Rose and some of the other children have got through to the quiz, but Melody hasn't made it. And this sends Melody down a bad route. She's talking about things she doesn't understand. She's making a list of things because she did really well in the test and she's very smart, but she doesn't know why she wasn't chosen. At home, Melody's parents are then talking about the test results, and they can't understand it either. But they're making so much fuss, and the last thing you want is your parents to go in and make a fuss. So she says she wants it all to stop. However, at school, Melody's parents are talking to Mr. Dimming and the principal. Mr. Dimming says he thinks it's impossible that Melody got every question right. And there's another woman there, and she asks Melody if Dr. K helped her with any of the questions, and Melody assures her that she didn't. Mr. Dimming then confesses that he didn't even grade her questions, because he didn't think she was bright enough because she's disabled. And this is the thing as well. I mean, I'm not sure a teacher would so easily open up about something that he didn't do, or made a mistake, or just deliberately did something to stop a child from going further in her education. But I have definitely had experiences of teachers who don't treat me in the way that they should do. I mean, I was a kid in the 90s. I'm not sure how much it's changed now, but I remember a geography lesson I had, the first lesson with this man, and he asked us to do a thing where we had a map of the world and we had to put as many dots on the map as there were per million of people in the population. And it was busy work. It was like he wasn't quite sure how to get everybody fully into something. Was there? So he thought maybe to start something light to do. So did all that, and I finished first, and because it was putting dots on the map, it wasn't rocket science. So I went to the front of the class, showed him that I'd finished, and I was about 12 at the time, about Melody's age, and I had a teacher's assistant with me, and he said to me, "Did you get any help doing that?" It was putting dots on a map, and he gave us a list of all the population which we could refer to, so we could put the dots on the map in accordance to what was on the list. It's not rocket science, but if there's any way to make a disabled child feel that they're not clever enough, that was a good start with him. And I'm sad to say that by the time I'd left the school, he was head of special needs. In the class, Melody is joining the quiz team, and Mr. Dimming says that he made a mistake. Again, I'm not sure a teacher would openly admit to making this kind of a mistake, but I might be wrong. Outside, the principal is talking to Dr. K, and she says she's worried if Melody does well, then that'll mean that there'll be more disabled kids coming in, and with Melody's issues with speech, she thinks it might hold the class back. And Dr. K says that it's not disabilities that hold people back, it's what schools do that hold them back. And I mean, this is quite an on-the-nose line, but she's not wrong. You really have to make yourself noticed and to get through things and just ignore the people that treat you differently. Melody's sitting at the cafeteria, though, later on, and she's by herself. It seems that she's taken Rose's place, and Rose isn't happy about it. At home, her mum comes in to tell Melody that they're going to go to the quiz, though. And they get there, and it's a really good gesture that Melody is shown around the quiz show set before she starts, so that she'll know what to do. And she's being shown around by a wheelchair user. This man only has one scene, but his name is Paul, and he's played by Christian Rose, and he is actually a wheelchair user as well in real life. So, whereas they would have just gone hugely, aren't we amazing, by casting somebody who actually has a disability, they've actually gone the extra length to include somebody else who may very well be working in this kind of environment. Melody then goes to see Rose and apologises. Rose says it's okay, but she's only hung around with Melody because of what her mum said. It's a mean thing to say, but I think maybe girls like that at that age are a bit like that. It's a shame. One minute they're friends, and then the next minute they're mortal enemies. In the bathroom, Melody is talking to her mum, and she tells her that she loves her. And this is a moment again, like with her dad. She's really happy, and her mum wants Melody to say it again. She says it a few times, and she gives her a kiss on the forehead. It's a lovely moment. It's bonding. At the quiz, a voiceover is talking about the show, explaining the rules, and the host comes in and he's really enthusiastic, and he's asking a load of multiple choice questions where all Melody has to do is press a button. It's not the hardest thing. It's a quiz. It's also one of those things, a very bright, colourful set. It's not a university challenge. It's for kids, and it's a trivia thing, and I think if you know the answers, then it's good. It shows the brightest kids, the ones that are paying attention, the ones that want to learn, and that's definitely Melody. The competition ends in a tie, though, and the host says that it's going to be decided in a lightning round, and it's all implied that a tie doesn't really happen very often, so even the host doesn't really know what they're going to do. But then the teams have to choose somebody to represent them, and the first person to get the question wrong is the loser. They'll confer, but they're arguing, and it's getting closer to end of the time because I've got a minute to talk about it. And then as the camera pans back, it's revealed that Melody has been chosen. And the host starts asking questions, and we cut to Mr. Dimming, who's looking nervous. I mean, what exactly do you have to do to prove to somebody else that you're capable? I mean, for the actor's performance, it's great, because I really hate Mr. Dimming. Melody then gets the final question right, and she wins the competition. She beats her opponent, who gets the question wrong. Back at school, Dr. K is asking Melody why she isn't feeling angry about being held back for so long. Dr. K can see Melody is bright, and by the age of 12, she shouldn't really have been in a class like that, because she's not getting the education that she needs. She tells Melody that she deserves to be in regular class, and Melody says that she's excited to go to Washington. And in a voiceover, she makes a list of all the other things she's excited about, including being on TV and going to Washington. At school, Mr. Dimming says that their flight has been cancelled and they have to go on an earlier flight, so he gets all the kids up and they go out and they make their way to the airport. Melody's at home and she's being told what's happened, and so her and her parents have to go to the airport. So I'm not quite sure why the teacher hadn't told Melody himself, but again, this is another example of exclusion. She's deliberately not being a part of the team because Mr. Dimming doesn't want her there. He is showing ableism. He's basically not giving her a chance. And then they get to the airport and Melody's parents find that the lift is broken, which is typical and happens more often than you'd think. I mean, I did a ITAS level, but the IT room was up a long flight of stairs and they had a lift which would carry me up the stairs to the top, but it broke down more often than not and I just had to give up on that. That's a little aside. But anyway, if the lift is broken, it's never going to be a surprise. And then the man at the airport tells Melody's parents that she needs to be carried on board and he assumes that she can walk. I mean, not all wheelchair users can walk, but not all wheelchair users are unable to walk. But still, if somebody turns up in a chair, they're going to want to use the chair. I'd assume, anyway. They get to a desk and finally the man behind the desk says that the rest of the team are already on board. It feels like Mr. Dimming is doing his best to make sure he leaves without her. And the man behind the desk caps it off by patronising Melody, saying she won't be able to cheer on her friends, to which her mum assures him that she is part of the quiz team. They go home and Melody's in her room and she's making a list of things that she wants. She's depressed, she's got her hands on her desk and her head in her hands. And Melody's mum comes in, gives her a drink and kisses her on the head before leaving. But this is the final straw for Melody, and she pushes her device on the floor and pours her drink on top of it. And the next scene, Melody's dad comes down the stairs and is on the phone asking if the device can be repaired. And in the car, Melody's mum is turning Melody off for breaking the device, so that she can't just behave the way that she did because things didn't go her way. And as she's backing out the driveway, Melody notices that there's a girl walking behind them, and she can't talk, but she's trying to make a noise to alert her mum to what's happening, but it's too late. At home, they get back from the hospital and Melody is crying. Her mum assures her that it wasn't her fault and she says that she wants her to go back to using her voice, knowing that Melody was trying to warn her to stop the car. And in the next scene, Melody and her parents go to school. And her mum knocks on the classroom door and the teacher opens it. Melody comes in and he starts making excuses about why she was excluded. And then this is Melody's time to speak. She uses her device to tell Mr. Dimming that he's treated her differently because of her disability, and it didn't matter how well she did, he would still see her as disabled, and therefore he would think that she wasn't intelligent or capable. He interrupts her, but then she says that he should wait until she's finished talking, which he does. He says that she's been excluded and he chose to do it. She says she doesn't care though, because it's their problem if they feel uncomfortable. She says she just wants to be in 6th grade, and she goes back to the back of the class to the empty desk, reaffirming that she's staying. Her parents leave, expressing how proud they are of her, and the class continues. And the Jennifer Aniston voiceover says that it doesn't matter what she sounds like, because it's what she says that matters. And in her device's voice, she says, "I'm not going anywhere." Okay, so that was the film. And up next, I'm going to be talking about what I think the film may mean for an undisabled audience. Out of My Mind is a sweet story aimed at a younger audience, and I would hope that even if you weren't a girl, a teenager, or had cerebral palsy, that you would get something out of it. From the films I have covered so far, only a couple of them have included disabled women, so Out of My Mind's unique perspective, portraying a preteen girl with cerebral palsy, is more than welcome. It should go without saying, but there are enough misconceptions about disabled people without laying on false ideas about women as well. I believe that the story is very relatable for all disabled people, although in my case as a wheelchair user, it particularly hits home hard. Being set in the early 2000s is also another unique angle, and although I haven't been in formal education for over 20 years, I would hope that at least some aspects would have gotten better. However, ableism is a thing, and I wouldn't be all that surprised if nothing much has changed. The tone of the movie is light and breezy when it needs to be, and thankfully doesn't lean into pitying melody. It just shows that the only real challenge in the face of adversity is getting people to listen. Phoebe Ray-Taylor does a great job portraying Melody, especially seeing as she is able to speak in real life, using her emotional range to make the audience feel as Melody would feel at any given time. She is there for the majority of the film, and audiences can laugh, cry and feel anger when Melody does because of the unfair treatment that she faces. Out of My Mind isn't what I would call a film that entirely exists to teach the audience about disability, but I would hope that non-disabled people would go away from it with something to think about, especially in the way that they treat disabled people. Okay, so usually I use this section for trivia for the movie, but as I can't really find anything, I thought I'd talk about reading, because as much as I love films, I love reading, and all these books that I'm going to recommend have disabled characters as the main character. There's The Good Hawk by Joseph Eliot, which is about a girl with Down syndrome who is considered to be a good hawk, patrolling the sea wall to protect her clan. However, when her clan are taken, she has to work together with somebody in order to save them. There's Anna by Laura Guthrie, which is a modern retelling of Pollyanna about a girl called Anna who has Asperger's syndrome, and she travels to Scotland to live with her estranged mother, determined to start a new life and build a relationship with her. There's Lizzie, with an exclamation mark, by Elliot Gilbert and Maxine Cumin, which is about a girl who is paralysed from the waist down after an accident and moves to Florida, where she discovers something unusual happening at a local shack, and with a friend they investigate but soon find themselves in danger. There's Rosie Loves Jack by Mel Darbin, which is about a girl called Rosie who loves a man called Jack and vice versa. However, when they're separated, Rosie has to get him back by making a journey that nobody thinks he can do alone because she has Down syndrome. There's I Have No Secrets by Perry Jolson, which is about a girl called Gemma who has cerebral palsy, and like Melody in Out of My Mind, she's non-verbal and relies on her carers and family. However, she then finds out a terrible secret. And then there's Unbroken, 13 stories starring disabled teens, which is a collection of various stories by disabled writers whose main characters are disabled as well. The genres vary from sci-fi, fantasy, horror and adventure. And then finally, I Can Write, spelt EYE, a memoir of a child's silent soul emerging by Jonathan Bryan, which is about his own experiences living with cerebral palsy, exploring his frustrations and being able to communicate his feelings, feeling trapped, isolated and lonely. I hope you can find something in there that you can enjoy, and happy reading. Okay, that's it for this week. Next week I'll be talking about M. Night Shyamalan's movie Unbreakable, about a man with osteogenesis imperfecta who tries to find the most invulnerable man in the world. If you'd like to contact me, you can do so via Bluesky at bluesky.com/film-ability. You can also email me at film-ability@outlook.com, And if you'd like to make a contribution to the things that I do here, you can find me at Patreon at patreon.com/film-ability. You can also find my book at Amazon on Kindle and paperback called Filmability, A History of Disability in Cinema. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.